Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at another miniature game, this one based in the Pokemon world. If you've not heard of it, the game is called the Pokemon Trading Figure game. And if you're thinking, I'm a huge Pokemon fan, I've never heard of it, it's probably because it came out a while ago. So it was released in 2006 and we only had a few sets and only a small release of those sets. So as you can imagine, they're quite expensive now. If you are, after this video, seeing how it plays, looking at some of the figures, thinking, I want to grab some myself, I will say now, be careful buying on eBay because I've bought all of mine there and in every bundle I've bought, most of the bases have been broken. Now, if you're not sure what I mean, so this is one of the figures. This is a Trico figure. I'll do some proper close-ups and we'll look at them properly. But this is just for you in case you're looking at it. You can see it sort of wobbles now. They should know it's broken. So these need to spin. That barely goes round at all. What's happened basically is inside the base here, the peg has snapped, meaning it's unable to spin anymore. Obviously people selling these have no idea what they are, they're just trying to make money. I would, if you're gonna buy these, message the person first, make sure they spin, make sure they work and they're not broken. If you're just trying to collect them, you may be able to get them cheaper if they don't spin. But yeah, be very careful buying these things online. I would say do your research, do message them, do inspect them carefully. But if they look like the figures for you, let's get into some of the models, let's get into how the game works, and a few reasons why I think this is one of the best forgotten games that I've played. Okay, so we'll take a look, a few of these, yeah, that's right. One of my favorites, not massive fan of the Pokemon, I do quite like the evolution line, big fan of Croconaw, but for Alligator, the sculpt is absolutely gorgeous. One of the favourites I've got, just look at that, he's coming out of the water, you've got the water dripping off him. It almost looks like he's melting slightly, so interesting choice for design, but very cool. I also like on the bottom, you get a bit of information on who sculpted them. You've got the release there, and then you've got the game itself. Then a little info about the Pokemon itself, so what it evolves from, its length, weight, which you can never really take much from in Pokemon because there are some wacky ones out there, but I think it's also 10 out of 42, so yeah, that's it. Basically how the attacks would work are on here. So for example, you can see you can spin and you could hit Hydro Pump, but it's a very small gap to hit that, so it's going to be difficult. There is chances this one misses. Then it's also got Wash Away, so move the defending Pokemon back 2 spaces. That's just sort of a defensive one. And then Bite 60 takes up most of it. So what you would do is you've got the red mark here, you would spin, and whatever it lands on is what it does. Really cool thing, it's just fun. I played it a few times with my nephew and he absolutely loves it. So yeah, it's just a fun game and that looks really cool in motion. Let's look at a few more though. So obviously, as with anything in Pokemon, Charizard is one of the bigger and more expensive ones. I managed to pick this up for quite a deal, but yeah, in general, they go for quite a lot of money. If you look on eBay, they're on for ridiculous prices, but again, a very cool design just coming out of the flames, very similar to for Alligator really, but obviously fire instead. Again, one of my favorite designs. I do love Charizard, to be fair. It's just hard to collect Charizard stuff with the amount of love there is for him. So he's got a few misses as well. He's got an Iron Tail for 60. And then fire spin 50 times. Spin until you get another result. It's just 50 for each time you land on this. So let's give it a go, see what we get. There's a 50. And just 50, just 50. But that is Charizard. Obviously one of the main Pokemon people want. Other than that, I've just got a few little ones. I did have a big collection, but like I said before, they came broken. So I had to send them back. The guy was no help at all. He had no idea what I was on about. He had sent a Mew where the actual figure was missing, but he didn't realise that. So yeah, it's kind of difficult on eBay because most of it's going to be either resellers that have bought them or like parents that just don't have any idea. Other than that, we got a Meowth. Again, spins fine. It's pretty cool. I do like Meowth. I love Persian. Team Rocket in general, I'm a huge fan of, so yeah, really cool to have this one. Then we've got a Torchic. You can, if you buy them, change bases. So Trico is one of my least favorites out of the Pokemon I have, which is why he's on the broken base. I did switch Torchic onto one that worked. because I do love Torchic, and that design is incredible as well. Look at that fire. I don't know where it's coming from, but yeah, really cool design. I love anything like that where it adds sort of elemental effects to miniatures, and that's a really cool example of it there. Other than that, I have over here, I wasn't going to show it off because this is another broken one I got. It's a Pikachu, but the bottom is absolutely destroyed. I think maybe they've tried to fix it themselves and taken like a hammer or something to it, but yeah, it's in an absolute state. I don't think there's any way to fix this one other than taking him off here and attaching him to something else, but obviously that changes all his attacks. So it's a little awkward, but I am going to keep that just because it's cool to display. I can just put it on my shelf back there and it looks okay. Last few then, one of my personal favorites, Croconaw. I just really like this design. It looks like it definitely fits into that stage 1 awkward teen thing that you get with starter Pokemon, but I just think he looks incredible. Really like the colors on him. I don't know, I just love the design. I can't describe it. It looks more like a dinosaur than the other ones, so that's probably it. His has Bite for most of it, quite a large miss, and then he's got Scary Face, which scares them away. So give it a quick spin, see what we get. And that's a Bite, and that's already equaled the same damage as Charizard. So, oh, one thing I didn't mention, here, MP, that's movement points. Now something like Charizard's only gonna have 1, Meowth's got 2, there are some that have 3. I think Eevee maybe does, yeah. So this is how far they can move. So you do want a mix of characters that can move fast and attack well. And this is just one of those that are gonna try and run in and take the game early. It's got a few attacks as well, so it's got stuff that could help it. It's got a few dodges, which is always good. So the way the game works, blue always takes precedent. Then I think it's purple, which is one of these, so a special attack. And then it goes down to the regular attacks and you compare values. So there are a few ways to just beat Pokemon out without having to fight them. Like Eevee has here, she can just run and dodge because she's so quick. And then you can use specials to sort of negate attacks as well. So it's kind of interesting choosing your teams and going up against other people. There's some tactics to it. I do think it's very interesting. Here, we've got another special, Whirlwind. The defending Pokemon returns to the bench and has weight. That just means they miss a turn, basically. And it returns them to the bench, which is absolutely devastating of an attack. So you'd probably leave this one in defense just to clear people back if you can, because that's a really good ability. It's got 3 movement as well, so you could use it offensively, but there's a few ways to use Pokemon in this, and that's what I like. You can use your favorites, you can mix them up. There's so many different ways to play it. Huge fan of the game, honestly. It's just, even just collecting the miniatures, they are absolutely gorgeous. These are some of my favorite things I own, especially this Charizard. Let's have another look at that. Yeah, I just absolutely love these. So yeah, I had to show them off. We will take a brief look at how the game works, and I'll show you that on a game board, which might be a little easier. I will say now, the game board is going to be hard to track down, so you are going to either need to create your own or maybe use a different board game. I have got a suggestion coming up, so stick around for that. But that's the miniatures. So the board will look like as shown in this picture here. Basically, you're going to have a bench, which is where your Pokemon come out when they're knocked out. You're going to move around these dots on the map, trying to get past your opponent or battle them if you move adjacent to them, and get to the other end. So you can see the goal markers. You're trying to stop them getting to yours. You're trying to get to theirs. A bit like capture the flag. So yeah, it looks very simple, but there's a ton of abilities, there's a ton of attacks, there's a ton of different things that make it more interesting. But that's basically how the game works. So that's the Pokemon trading figure game. You've heard how it works and looked at some of the models, but why did it end and why was it such a limited release? Obviously, Pokemon is massively into the card game, and they have been all the way back then. And obviously, printing cardboard, printing these cards is a lot less cost, but also they make a lot more money than the trading figures themselves. So unfortunately, it just means they're not willing to take the risk and potentially lose money or not make much money when they could be more focused on the card game. It is very unfortunate, but also the gameplay itself obviously doesn't lend itself to tournaments and other things like the VCG and TCG have. The video and trading card game, if you're not sure what the abbreviations are, it's a lot harder to sell this game. You are spinning, so it is almost entirely luck based, but also maybe the pessimistic side of me, but you can
spin it so it sort of lands in the same area. You can sort of practice, and there's no way of people, like there's no way you could say, I think you've done that, or you're unsure of someone doing it. So it does create this weird rules aspect to it as well. It's just not very well designed in terms of competitive play, but in terms of fun, it is so much fun. Just bring them out with friends, play a game. I think it's a laugh. I think it's quick, although some of the games can go on. I say quick, but we've had some longer games. It's just a lot of fun. And as I've said, it's just an interesting mechanic. Obviously not a very competitive or particularly well designed one, but I don't think every game has to be this competitive thing where you travel to events and try and beat your opponent. Pokemon is and should be something that's fun, and this game definitely hits on that. Now, I've mentioned all that you're interested in playing, you found some figures, but you can't find the board. I've got a way around it. The way the game works is very similar to a Small Soldiers board game released. You move around a board. On the actual trading card game, you move around a map. You move from side to side or through the middle. There's a few different ways you can get there, but basically you're trying to get to their area. Exactly like Small Soldiers, very capture the flag-esque. So I have been using the Small Soldiers board to play my games. It does add some interesting aspects because there's a lot more room to maneuver. You still obviously have to go head to head, so there's that interesting aspect of battling. But the quicker Pokemon can rush for the flag, the stronger ones can hold the line. It does create a really interesting game, and I do think maybe it works slightly better than what they had designed. I don't know, let me know. Let me know in the comments if you've been looking to get into this and maybe this is going to help you in any way. I will show you how I've set it up on the board. I do think this is a really fun and interesting game everyone should try at least once. So let me know in the comments your collections if you plan to get into it, or any other random miniature games or Pokemon games that have been sort of lost. The older titles that are now discontinued, because I love looking into them, I love researching them, I love finding out about these hidden relics, and this is definitely one of them. That's all I've got for this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.